If you're an immigrant and a victim of abuse, you might have heard of VAWA. Today, I'm going to do a quick introduction to an area of immigration law known as VAWA. If you are a victim of abuse, you may qualify for permanent residency under the Violence Against Immigrants Act. VAWA has helped many immigrants of abuse stay in the United States. VAWA can help you obtain permanent residency and citizenship. It can also stop you from being deported or removed from the United States. So who does VAWA apply to? VAWA applies to all qualifying victims of abuse, regardless of gender and age. Although VAWA technically stands for the Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA is often referred to as the Violence Against Immigrants Act, precisely as it applies to all genders, both women and men. So how do you evaluate your VAWA case? Generally, VAWA has two major requirements. A person must be a victim of abuse, and a perpetrator must have been a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. Under VAWA, in order to be a victim of abuse, you must have been a victim of either battery or extreme cruelty. Battery refers to physical abuse. Extreme cruelty refers to psychological or sexual abuse. However, not all abuse qualifies under VAWA. You cannot simply suffer abuse from a random person. You must have suffered the abuse at the hands of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. In addition, the U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident who hurt you must have been either a spouse, a former spouse, a parent, or a child. Unfortunately, many immigrants often believe that they do not qualify under VAWA unless they were an abused wife. However, this is not true. A common misconception is that VAWA only applies to spouses. VAWA not only protects abused spouses, both women and men, but VAWA protects the children of the abused spouse. In addition, VAWA also applies to elderly parents. VAWA applies to elderly parents who are abused by their children. VAWA may also apply to children who are abused by their parents or step-parents up to the age of 25. Is VAWA a good plan of action for citizenship? Yes, yes it is. A victim who is abused by a U.S. citizen who obtains permanent residency through VAWA may be able to apply for U.S. citizenship after 3 years. Therefore, VAWA may be a great opportunity for you to not only obtain permanent residency, but eventually citizenship. What if you have a criminal record yourself? The intent of VAWA immigration process is to protect some of the most vulnerable persons in society. The purpose is to protect victims who need help. Because of this, the VAWA immigration process wants to make sure that it is not inadvertently helping perpetrators or wrongdoers. Therefore, under VAWA, you are also required to show that you are a good person. The law refers to this as a person of good moral character. Do you have to be in the United States to apply for VAWA? No, you can file VAWA if you are currently inside the United States and even if you are outside of the United States. If you are in the removal or deportation proceedings, you can also apply for VAWA to use VAWA as an adjustment of status and potentially stop the removal or deportation. This is my quick presentation or introduction to VAWA. Thank you.